Selena Gomez and her mom Mandy Teefey are being sued for $1.2 million over allegations of fraud involving their mental health company, Wondermind. And yes, I know that sounds like drama you see online and you just scroll past. But once you actually look at the lawsuit, there's a lot more going on than just Selena's name being attached to a legal complaint. Investors are saying they lost millions of dollars and what they were promised before investing into the company isn't what actually happened. And because I work in forensic accounting and fraud investigations, this is the part that caught my attention. I'm not interested in speculating about who's guilty or not. The allegations in the lawsuit have not been proven. I want to talk about what the investors are claiming and why this case is interesting from a fraud perspective. Back in November of 2021, Selena Gomez teamed up with her mom, Mandy Teefey, and entrepreneur Daniela Pearson to launch Wondermind. The company was mostly focused on mental health, and at the time, this was a good fit for Selena because she had already spent years talking publicly about her own experiences with mental health, and she had a huge audience that was already interested in that part of her life. And Daniela Pearson already built a super successful media company called Newset. So, from an investor's perspective, there were some obvious reasons why they would be interested. You had a successful entrepreneur, a celebrity with a huge following, and a company in an industry that already was getting a lot of attention at the time. Investors put money into the company based on the belief that Wondermine had the potential to become a successful business. According to the lawsuit, two investment companies put about $1.2 million into Wondermine. This is where the story gets a little bit more complicated. The lawsuit was filed in federal court in Delaware by two different investment companies. The investors claim they were given information that made Wondermine appear to have the resources and ability needed to build a successful company. The company references plans involving an app, advertising partnerships, media opportunities, and other business developments. According to the investors, they relied on that information when they put their money into the company. But now they claim what they were told did not match what was actually happening inside the company. The lawsuit alleges serious problems within the company that were not disclosed to investors, and the company's collapse was essentially hidden from them for years. So, this is obviously a major allegation. And I do not want to defame anyone because we are talking about a lawsuit. So, I just want to make it very clear these are the allegations made by the plaintiffs, and they have not been proven in court. The people involved have denied wrongdoing, and the case is still going through the legal process. A big part of this lawsuit involves an investigation published by The Cut last year. The article reportedly gave a much different picture of what was happening inside Wondermine than the image investors had been given. And according to the report referenced in the lawsuit, there were serious disagreements with the company, including tension between Mandy and Daniela, basically over the direction and management of the business. The article also discussed allegations involving Mandy's management of the company and made claims about substance abuse that she has denied. There were also allegations involving the company's finances and day to day operations. According to the report, employees and vendors were dealing with payment problems. Some employees reportedly weren't being paid on time, and vendors were allegedly having the same issue. Those are huge problems when you're talking about a company that is actively raising money from investors. Investors aren't just putting money into an idea, they're investing in a business that is supposed to have the ability to operate. The lawsuit claims that investors didn't understand how serious those internal problems were until the Cuts report came out. And once that happened, the investors say they realized there was a huge difference between what they believed they were investing in and what was actually happening. Selena's involvement is obviously one of the biggest reasons why this story has gotten so much attention. But it's also important to separate celebrity involvement from the actual responsibility. Being the face of a company doesn't actually mean that someone is responsible for every financial decision that was made by the company. At the same time, celebrity involvement can have a huge effect on how people perceive a business. A company connected to someone famous or someone with a big following can immediately have more visibility and credibility than just an unknown startup. That doesn't make the investment fraudulent. It does mean investors have to understand exactly what the celebrity is doing in the company. Are they actively involved in management and making business decisions, or are they simply just promoting the company? Those details should be clear before someone puts their money into a business. According to Selena's representatives, she was not involved in any alleged fraud or wrongdoing. Her representative has called those allegations completely meritless. So, again, this isn't a situation where the lawsuit has established that Selena committed fraud. The plaintiffs are just making allegations, and Selena's side has denied them. Daniela Pearson has also strongly denied the allegations. She says she denies the claims against her and she is prepared to provide financial records to support her version of events. She has specifically denied using investors' money for personal expenses. She has also said that she personally invested her own money into Wondermind and she did not even take a salary. That is important because the allegations in the lawsuit involve questions about where investors' money went and how the company was being managed. Daniela's response is basically just saying the financial records will show what actually happened. Mandy, Selena's mother, has also denied the allegations made about her. She specifically denied substance abuse claims that were included in the Cuts report. She said it was unfortunate that former employees would make accusations that she considers false and that the media gave those claims so much attention. So there are clearly different sides of the story and different versions of what actually happened with the company. The investors are saying they were misled, and the people involved in the company denied all the allegations. And now the evidence is the only thing that can show the truth. Investors aren't just simply asking for their $1.2 million back. They want the original investment agreements canceled and they basically just want their investment undone. And of course, they're also seeking damages. The lawsuit includes claims involving security fraud, common law fraud, and breach of contract. The securities fraud claim is especially significant because it's based off the allegation that investors were given false or misleading information when they decided to invest. If this case moves forward, evidence about what investors were told, what the company knew at the time, and what was actually happening financially could become extremely important because then we would know which side is telling the truth. This is probably the part of the case that interests me the most. You're going to have to compare the story with emails, contracts, bank statements, the accounting records. This is the evidence where you can actually tell what happened and what they knew going into the company. Someone can say the investors knew about the problem, but if you start looking through contracts and emails, it might show that they actually did not know and that they were misled. Someone can say that money was spent for business purposes, but all you have to do is look at bank statements and accounting records, and you can actually see where all the money went. That's why you can't really take a side on a fraud case because you can't just believe someone's story. You're going to have the evidence and put the whole puzzle together. This case is still in the early stages. There could be motions to dismiss, discovery, requests for documents, depositions, and potentially a settlement agreement. If the case continues to discovery, that's when both sides are going to find out what actually happened and the truth will show. And this is where things can get really interesting because potentially we would find out a much clearer picture of the company's finances and communications agreements, and actually if those people did commit fraud or if the investors' claims are not true at all. But for now, we don't have the full picture. We just have the claims, and then we have the other side denying everything. Regardless of how this lawsuit ends, I just want to make some things very clear. A convincing business opportunity doesn't make that a good investment. A famous person being involved doesn't guarantee that a company is going to succeed financially. And for this case, a company having a strong mission doesn't tell you what is happening with the money inside of the company. If you're going to invest in a private company, you need to look past all those things and look at the financial records. And you also need to understand the company structure. You need to know who is actually responsible for managing the business and do they have the resources to even keep this business up. And you need documentation supporting the information that you have been given. Because when a business fails and people look back, it's so easy to say that there were warning signs, but usually at the time, everything can look completely legit. The company can have a great story, look successful, and have famous people attached to it. And investors can genuinely believe they're getting into something good before it takes off, and it's a great investment. That's why you need to look at bank statements and the internal records before investing in something, even if it just sounds so great. Again, nothing in this lawsuit has been proven. Selena, Mandy, and Daniela have denied allegations made against them, and the case will have to proceed in court. So I cannot sit here and tell you that anyone committed fraud when court has not made that determination yet. All I can say is that the allegations raise some interesting questions about how investors evaluate private companies and how much they rely on the information they're being told before putting their money into a company and not doing the research behind it. That's something worth paying attention to, especially now because so many businesses are built around personal brands and social media followings. I will keep following this case as it develops because once the financial records and evidence come out, we will know the true story and hopefully we get that eventually. If you're dealing with a financial situation where you believe you've been misled, whether it's an investment or business opportunity, book a consultation with me at forensic.com. You can also add me on Patreon to message me directly and get additional business tools. All my links are going to be down below. I hope you guys like this video and I will see you on the next one. Bye.